So I'm guessing that the gentleman by Craig is going to just so you. I introduced myself to him because when he said his name.
Okay, there it is.
Someone turned the volume
All right, good morning. It is the 29th day of June, 2026. It is 9 a.m. We are in the Commissioner's Courtroom in the Aransas County Courthouse, located at 308 North Live Oak, Rockport, Texas, 78382, and I call this special meeting to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney?
Here.
Commissioner Castelline?
Here.
Commissioner Russo?
Here.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Here.
Judge Garza?
Here. We've got a full quorum. At this time, we got citizens to be heard. We've got one. Would you like to speak at this time or during the agenda item? Mr. Robbins.
I can speak now.
Okay.
about the subject.
Yeah, come on up.
My name's L.C. Robbins, and I own LCR Total Transport. Met with all of you, I think, before on various projects. In the last few years, we've done 4 different projects for Aransas County and our town of Fulton in the amount of about $18 million worth of road and street improvements. What brings me here today is the suggested award by the engineers of the current project that was bid May 4th, and it was the Fulton Street and Drainage Project ending last 4 of it was E986. This bid on May the 4th, and later in the middle of June, I hadn't heard anything from an award. I had heard some scuttlebutt in between, but I contacted Craig Thompson with the Hanson Company, and he explained to me that he had suggested that the award go to the second bidder at about $151,000 increase over my bid, citing time of completion as being the problem, the other bidder being less time of completion than LCR. So I have the tabulation of it, and the bid tabulation clearly shows the second bidder at 600 days for the base bid and the 2 alternates. LCR with the combined was 358 days. It may have been our oversight, was nowhere in the situation was it really impressed on us that days were the most critical thing, that there was another $150,000 that could be thrown out there to buy some days. That's where it stood. So I talked to Mr. Thompson, and he suggested to me that I should submit to him a revision or clarification of our bid, which he now calls an amendment, to clarify the time, and suggested that I make my time equal to the 200 days of the overbidder. I did that within the hour, and he received that letter from my office the same day. Mr. Thompson told me that should clarify things, but I'd need to make my case to the commissioners. When I asked why, he said, well, there was a difference between, and I have it here, but one is a clarification and one was an amendment. To me, those are change, but that was the reason he stated for not submitting a new recommendation for the low bidder. So I'm not going to go through a whole lot of these things other than I have further documents. If you have more questions about this, that's the gist of it. There are no other big smoking guns laying around in regards to this. I will mention, just for the record, that early on in this, there was some street talk. I'm not going to credit any more than that the engineers were not wanting to award to LCR because of quality issues. That prompted me to send a resume on my company to the court and to Mr. Thompson, Hanson Company, of our qualifications and past experience. As you might know, TxDOT, we are a TxDOT contractor, active TxDOT contractor. TxDOT grades their contractors on a per-job basis on a 1, 2, 3 basis. Unsatisfactory, satisfactory, or excellent. LCR has never had a job less than a 2 and some 3 in our history with TxDOT. Many projects over many Texas districts and many district engineers. Never had one. We also counted the Aransas County, 4 projects we've done in Aransas County. We counted the city of Sinton, Three Rivers, Kerrville, Kirk County, all of those projects that we've done, a whole list of projects that we've done, never, not one ever disparaging remark about quality, all signed, sealed, and delivered and finished months or years ago. So where this came from is an issue, where that rumor came from is an issue that doesn't involve anybody in Aransas County, but it will be addressed in a different forum.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
where
Robbins.
that came from, in case any of the commissioners have heard that. I can tell you that I've sent proof of that, and all those
Mr. Robbins,
references are available.
your time is up. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, anybody else? Anybody online? All right, we'll go to item number 1.
I move to discuss and accept the Aransas County Annual Financial Report for the year ended December 31, 2025, as presented by Crowe LLP Certified Public Accountants.
Second.
Got a motion and a second.
Yes, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Of the audit and Michelle Blacklock with Michelle Blacklock with Crowe is online to give a presentation on the audit.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Michelle.
Judge Garza and Commissioners. Thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to come and present the financial results for December 31st, 2025 for the county. If we could go to the next slide. Perfect, thank you. Very quickly, we just wanted to go over high-level communications that we need to have with you, and the first has to do with our responsibility. Our responsibility as your independent auditors is to express an opinion on the financial statements. We also assess the risk of material misstatement at the beginning of our audit in our interim period. And then we also look at the internal controls and do an evaluation and a walkthrough during our interim period as well. And then based upon all of that and throughout the audit, we take a risk-based approach to that audit. We could go to the next slide, please. Great. And then just to kind of give you a high level of management's responsibility, management of the county is responsible for the preparation and the fair presentation of the financial statements. And they're also responsible for internal controls and maintaining relevant internal controls over the financial statements, and also for compliance with contracts, awards, grant awards, and laws and regulations. You can move to the next slide. We also need to discuss with you misstatements. We had no corrected misstatements for the current fiscal year. We did have 2 uncorrected misstatements, both of which were not material to the financial statements taken as a whole. The first one regarding the revenue recognition regarding ARPA funding, and then also we found an accrual that should have been made that wasn't. I think the amount was about $10,000. You can move to the next slide. Some of the other things that we needed to just touch on with you were if there were any difficulties encountered with management or any type of disagreements regarding the financial statements, and there were none. Whether there were any consultations with other accountants regarding the financial statements, and we're not aware of any. And any type of other findings or issues that we find relevant or significant, and I'm happy to report there are none. Just wanted to touch base on independence. We do assist the county with the preparation of the financial statements. And in doing so, we have to take into consideration our independence under the AICPA standards. We've done our evaluation, and we just wanted to assure the commissioners that we are independent of the county. We can move to the next slide. Probably the most important results here are for the financial statements. In our opinion, it's an unmodified opinion. It's what we consider a clean opinion. Moving to the next slide. And just, high level of the government-wide summary, the total assets of $161 million exceeded the total liabilities of about $30 million. So at the end of the year, we had an ending net position of almost $108 million. And then just kind of looking at the general fund, at the end of the year for December 31st of 2025, the fund balance was $2.6 million. That was just a slight decrease of less than 1% or $9,000 from the prior year. And that total fund balance, we like to just share that represents 11.3% of the funds of the 2025 expenditures for the year. And then the last slide is just the conclusion. The county's financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. And then also, I can't go without saying thank you to management and staff for all of their assistance in helping us. They do have a day job. They have to keep up with the county, and audits, require a lot of documentation in their time. And so we certainly want to extend our thanks to them. We are still working through the single audit, which will be issued by the end of July. We don't foresee any, that process is already in place, and I don't foresee that there's going to be any type of issues there. And so with that, I just wanted to thank Jackie and her team again, and open it up if there are any questions.
What do you mean by single audit? What do you mean by single audit?
Yes, sir. During the year, you all have received and expended grant awards, both from the federal and the state, the federal government and the state. And when those amounts that you have expended during the fiscal year exceed $1 million, we have to perform a single audit.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to thank you, and certainly Jackie's office, for getting this to us much sooner than you did last year, because last year I think it was within 2 or 3 days of the deadline, and we had pressed when we renewed the contract that we would get it sooner this year, which you have done. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank Crow and Michelle and Corinne and Caitlin. They've been awesome to work with, as well as the exchange that we use. The exchange is wonderful for us to be able to just exchange the documents that we need without having to fax or email them. And the weekly meetings that we had weekly meetings together with them on Teams to kind of get a game plan, but not only that, to explain things, to discuss things if we needed something, or if they needed clarification or we needed. It was really, really helpful to use the meetings.
I just want to say thank you, Jackie and staff. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, and congratulations. Good job. Anything else? All right.
I guess we'll see him at the end of July.
Commissioner Cheney?
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline?
Aye.
Commissioner Russo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Aye.
Judge Garza?
All right, motion passes. Thank you.
to award the construction contract to Tex-Mix Paving LLC based on the base bid with alternates number 1 and number 2 in the total amount of $1,974,684.75, funded through the Texas General Land Office Community Development Block Grant, BITMOD, contract number 24-065-1285-E986, and authorize the county judge to execute the notice of award, the hiring resolution, and all necessary related documents.
I'll second that for the point of discussion.
We've got a motion and a second to discuss. Good morning,
Good
Daryl.
morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Would
Morning,
y'all like
Darrell.
Craig to be a part of the discussion right now, or you
Yeah,
want some
I'd
background?
like him
on-
to be the discussion, because
Okay.
he's really the one that gets the information sent to him. So can you start, like in part of your stuff, of course, you brought up in the deal about LCR about the deadline, which I didn't think it was in the bid works for any of the bidders to bid. And then when you comment about Tex-Mix, you don't mention what the original bid was. And so I'd like you to start at maybe bid time and go through what the bids were and what the process was with the issue with Tex-Mix and what you did, and maybe even my understanding, once you did one thing, the law required you to do a second thing. And so can you kind of go through that as far as
Sure.
what the original bid was and how it got changed and everything that went after that?
Sure. So thank you all. Appreciate it. Appreciate the time here. We did open bids for this project in May 7th. The bid tabulation was attached to the recommendation. I will go through the overall bid numbers, and I'm just going to go to the total contract portion because, just so y'all know, we had a couple additive alternates in this. One was most of the drainage improvements were part of a additive alternate, and then also paving with a HMAC with a full, 2-inch hot mix surface course. The base bid was a chip seal type base bid, a 2-course type base bid. We were concerned about the budget, and so that's why we did those additive alternates. We did open bids. See if I can go to it. The low bid, which was LCR, was $1,819,424, and a total on there of 335 days. The second lowest bidder was Tex-Mix, and it was $1,970,684.75. So there was about $150,000 difference there. The days on Tex-Mix, however, was 200 days.
Wait, can you back up a little bit?
Yeah. So
On bid day,
so,
that was
so-
not 200.
So you're right. So the way that they had written it in the bid was 200 for the base bid, 200 for the additive alternate 1, because we asked for additional days for each, and 200 for the additive alternate number 2. Whenever we have weekly discussions with Daryl, with County Commissioner, with county staff there, with GrantWorks as well. We had weekly discussions, and after that, we did look at the days and were concerned with the lowest bidder on those days, 335 days. And then we looked at the 200, 200, 200, as LC mentioned, and as you mentioned, Commissioner. With that, we wondered, and we discussed initially.
And Craig,
Go ahead.
when you open a bid as a professional engineer, what's the first thing you do? Is it to verify all the mathematics are correct?
Sure,
You also
yeah.
look into if there's any inconsistencies or questions that are, how to review the bid.
Right.
You look at that, and then if you need to, for clarification, you contact the different bidders. Is that
Right.
correct?
Well, and I should state that every single one of these bids had some minor mathematical errors. They didn't change the order and significantly alter the amount of the bids, but there are minor mathematical errors. We do go through and check each one of the bids for that. And yes, with regard to the days, you know, we saw the 200, 200, 200, and one of the additive alternates for the drainage was, I think it was, $600,000 or so, and we really felt like, well, is it gonna be another 200 total days to do each one of those change orders? And especially on the hot mix, because that hot mix is replacing and in lieu of the two-course. And so we felt like maybe there was a misunderstanding there. And so we did, with regard to those days, ask for a clarification for that. And what we got clarified by that contractor was that it was 200, what that contractor meant, or that bidder meant, was 200 days for the entire project, not
That-
200 for each bid item. And
Yeah.
so
Now, which-
we did get that clarification from
Which
them.
bidder did you get that from?
That was from Tex Mix,
Okay.
that was from the second low bidder.
So from the time of the bids to the time you told them that you found an error, did they ever call you and say, hey, we screwed up?
No,
We wrote this down wrong? That doesn't seem strange to y'all that they wouldn't have found it themselves before? Because it was a pretty good while before, because they wrote the letter of clarification, I think that was on June the 15th, that they, or no, June the 10th,
right.
that they wrote that letter.
But you made a phone call.
Right, so within, I think probably a week, maybe 2 weeks after the bidding, we did make a phone call and ask for that clarification. We got a verbal clarification and.
But my question
Yep.
is, they never caught it themselves. They didn't call you and.
They
you-
did
you
not,
call- You
no.
call them on the phone and say, hey, we found a mess up in your math and all this stuff. So they didn't find their, which to me seems a strange deal that somebody, and I'm assuming they were at the bid opening?
I don't remember who was at the bid opening.
It's-
We have the sign-in
It
sheet for
seems
the bid
strange to
opening.
me that somebody that was going to bid 200 days, when the bid was opened, it would appear to say 600, and they didn't say something right then.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so,
I got a
but
question related to that, I guess. So you're saying, though, it wasn't their math, they misinterpreted what the request for additional days was? Is
Whenever we asked for the clarification, Commissioner, that is what they told us, yes.
yeah. But, I mean, to me, the gist of that is Craig and them found it and brought it up to him. The contractor didn't find it, figured it out on their own.
Well, he didn't, he thought the contractor thought they were putting it clearly from their perspective. That's the way I understand.
Well, like I said, but they read it out in the deal, and so how about going on from that,
Well,
what?
when we read it out, we don't necessarily read it out with total days. What we read out was the 200, 200, 200. And if you look at the total contract HMAC in lieu of two course, so that would be it says 200 days for that item. So I understand it, and perhaps we probably should have been more clear within our talking about those dates specifically, within each one of those line items.
So then from there, okay, you got the clarification, what, my understanding that actually the law dictates something that you do after that.
I'm not sure.
Such
I'm not
as,
sure I
such as
understand.
notify the low bidder that you've made a change in the other people's contract.
Well, we didn't change the other person's contract. And I think that's maybe where a little bit of the discussion here is, what is a clarification, and then what is actually a change or an amendment?
Right.
And so I think we felt, and in the discussions with the county, I think we felt that those 200 days within Tex Mix was getting that as a clarification. And I think we felt like the days that were within the LCR bid was pretty specific as 300 335 days.
So then after that, you contacted LCR?
I did. LC had sent some emails around, and he was saying that, we had done some things as friendly things. He has done, really wanted to have a conversation and said that if, something like this were to happen, he'd like, anyways, I did feel like with some of the emails that went around, that it was worth a phone call to LC to discuss what was going on. I did call LC. He, whenever I mentioned the days portion of it, and that our recommendation was going to be based upon the difference between 200 and 335 days, specifically with looking at the looming deadline of the project, he said, well, we could get it done that fast. And I said, well, if you'd like to send me a note on that, you certainly can. I will send it to the party and let them know, to the team, and let them know that. But as we discussed that, internally, we felt like that would be that would be considered an amendment, an actual
Right.
change to the bid. Whereas we felt like the 200 was a clarification. And so that's, I think, where the difference is. And so that's where our,
And so he sent you the letter that he was talking about?
he sent me an email, yes, sir.
And you have had it since June the 18th, but you didn't elect to give it to us.
Well, I did tell the county about it, but
That's
again.
different. You don't work for the county employees, you work for us.
Right.
And when you send a bid packet like the one we have right here, we expect to get all of the relevant information. And,
Right, and I think the reason, Commissioner, I didn't is, again, I felt like it was an actual change to the bid.
we, over the years, we've done a lot of amendments to contracts.
I understand that.
But this
I
is a
do
bid.
understand that. And if it's something that you guys would like to consider afterwards, you can certainly do that. But I did feel like at the time that that was an actual change to the bid, and it did not change my recommendation at the time.
I'd like to weigh in on this, and this is the first I've heard of this issue. But if I saw what you're describing, where the person put, how much to do the original 200 days, how much if you go with this alternate 200 days, I would have thought to myself that they meant if they did it with alternate 1, it would be 200 days. If they did it with alternate 2, it'd be 200 days. Not that it would be 600 days to do that project. So I guess it's just how you would interpret it. But I think a reasonable person would see that and understand that in their mind, what they were telling us was how long it would take to do the project with, the main way described, or with the alternate 1, or with the alternate 2. I don't feel
Well,
like
I
there's
mean-
been any sleight of hand here.
And I certainly hope that there's not an appearance of a sleight of hand. That is absolutely.
I don't see one.
That is not what anything was intended. Again, I saw it as you saw it, Commissioner. I felt like it was 200. We had actually discussed within our team.
Yeah, Greg
go.
and I had spoken about alternates on the project as a whole, and I think you remember me saying how confusing they can be anytime you do that. And so,
Well, we've done those
doesn't
for a long
surprise me.
time.
Well,
The reason that we've done them is if you don't put the alternates in there and you have to do an amendment, it slows the process down by sending an amendment to the GLO. If you put multiple, in this case, Craig Hansen and them, they actually overestimated what the bids were lower than what they expected. So you got all of them, which you very well might have got 1 or 2 more alternates if they would have been put in there. But if you leave off alternates, it ends up, we've done it for years. If you leave those, put them on there, it's a much quicker deal. You can, when you open the bid,
Absolutely.
you
Yes,
can
sir.
award them all. You don't have to do an amendment to the GLO.
it gives flexibility, absolutely, sir. It's just sometimes they can be very confusing.
So really, it'd probably been nice for Fulton that there would be a couple of more alternates where they could get more done than what they ended up.
Unfortunately, on this one, the GLO's project area is very specific, and there really isn't a whole lot more that could have been
Yeah.
done. We would have had to have done an amendment to it and we certainly don't have the time to do that.
Yeah. Judge, can I speak?
I'll give you 2 minutes. You got to come up to the mic.
Well, the rules were clearly set out by the engineering company. There's a form there that you fill out.
You need to
So we're gonna-
speak into the
In the mic,
microphone,
please.
sir, so people online can hear.
So the rules are clearly laid out by the engineers. There's a form we fill out, and it's purported to be, or submitted to be, accurate information. But if we're gonna take an interpretation of Mr. Thompson's or anybody else that says this column meant something, but this column meant something different, I can make the argument that my days that were submitted were running concurrently with the base bid. That's basically what they're doing. So why are the rules being allowed to be changed after the bid, weeks after the bid, and nobody said a word? The contractor did not complain, did not say, whoa, I made a mistake. So mine could just as easily be interpreted by their interpretation that these days were running concurrently. Oh, let's just go ahead and say right now, mine were running concurrently. But most importantly, a change is a change is a change. This guy was allowed to change, this contractor was allowed to change on a phone call instigated by Mr. Thompson. So there's no, I mean, this is, and by the way, my letter to change my days to 200 days, that was a suggestion by Craig Thompson to me. And I did it within the hour. He said, put down 200 days, and that should take care of the problem. You're still low bidder, $151,000. That was straight from Mr. Thompson to me personally, not somebody who works for me, to me personally.
Thank you.
So I want to clarify one thing there. During that discussion, he did mention that he could do it within the 200-day timeline. I said, well, Elsie, if you believe that to be the case, go ahead and send me an email. I will let the county know about that and let them consider it. I didn't say that should take care of a problem or anything like that. I asked if he wanted to send that email, that I would then send it to the county and have them take it under consideration. But I do believe at that time, the discussion was, well, wait a minute. That would constitute a change.
That's true.
That
And
would
amendment,
constitute a change to the contract. And so I think at that time, we all agreed that should not necessarily be part of the consideration at this time. And so again, that's why our recommendation, again, based on those days, was for Tex-Mix. I do understand, and I'm not, I don't want to dismiss a $150,000 difference, certainly. And so and that was one of my discussion topics with Elsie, is that certainly is something to be considered by the court here. But again, our recommendation, based upon days, was about 70%, or I'm sorry, I can't remember the math in my head not right now, but 200 versus 335 or 350 days. That's a significant difference
true.
on a project that has a deadline on it. And while we didn't specifically call out the deadline within the contract documents, we certainly do call out the best bid does take into consideration the time component. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Well,
Thank you.
if you know, whenever you send out for bids and everything, it's not, I don't see that it's the county's responsibility to do anything other than what's apropos to the project. If you take a contractor and you know, I don't really care who we do here, but if you start making allowances and changes after the bids have come in, that kind of negates the bid as far as I'm concerned. You know, this is not a new thing. It's not new out of the world. So if there was a question of what it meant, I think a phone call on either company should have been very appropriate. That's the only problem. I've seen work that LC has done, and it's very good work, everything, but a bid's a bid.
I'd like to call the question.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Cheney?
Nay.
Commissioner
This
Casterline?
is to call the question.
This is to call
Oh,
the
yes,
question.
yes, I'm sorry. Aye.
Commissioner Casterline?
Aye.
Commissioner Russo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Aye.
Judge Garza?
Aye. Questions called.
Okay.
Go ahead. We
Let's
need a
vote.
motion.
I did, I made that motion already.
Oh, did you measure to approve?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what started the discussion.
Commissioner Cheney?
So what are we voting on exactly?
We're
This is-
voting.
The
On
motion
first-
as it's
The
written.
first motion, right?
The motion as it's written.
Aye.
Commissioner Castleline?
Nay.
Commissioner Russo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Aye.
Judge Garza?
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. Item number 4.
Move to approve accounts payable payroll liabilities.
I'll second that.
Got a
Yes.
motion and a second.
Commissioners, we have one invoice that we need paid. The company, the contractors have been working on the courtrooms upstairs, and this was an advance on it. They have started working, and we wanted to be able to give them a partial. The balance of the invoices will probably be at the end of the month, end of July.
And to be clear, that payment is a 20% down payment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And how did we manage to procure these services?
Quotes.
The project manager had gone out and requested bids and talked to contractors, and this is the one that she recommended.
Did she work with the contract compliance?
She has
Specialist.
given us the information since, yes. We did check and make sure that it was under the bid requirements. And once we do that, as long as they get quotes, we're okay. We can work with it.
I did question that myself at first, but I found out, actually, it's two separate projects that, because I had a concern at first myself, but the jail doors are one project.
Yes.
And the courtrooms are another project.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's two separate projects, so I felt comfortable with the
Yeah.
procurement process after that.
Right, and even as an aggregate, they're still under the $100,000.
Okay.
Well, and if you look at what Teal wanted to do those jobs, ridiculous.
I'd like to get a list of the firms that were solicited, please.
Okay.
Commissioner Cheney?
Aye.
Commissioner Castleline?
Aye.
Commissioner Russo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Aye.
Judge Garza?
Aye. Motion passes. And we don't need to go into executive. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Cheney?
Aye.
Commissioner Castleline?
Aye.
Commissioner Russo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Aye.
Judge Garza?
Aye. We are adjourned until 10 o'clock.
Renee?